You don't need any optional additions to your car, such as a fire extinguisher or a dash cam, until you sincerely wish you had one in the car. In this video, my friends, I would like to talk to you about dash cam, why I got one, a real story that happened to my friend recently, general opinion on why a dash cam is probably a good and very cheap precaution to have, and which specific dash cam did I get for my car and why I think it's a sensible choice. You could get this one, you could get a different one, but hopefully this narrative, as always, helps you. This video is also my first video that is sponsored, no, not by Chinese car manufacturers, and no one paid me. But it is sponsored, and I would love your support, and I would love you not to skip ahead, because it is sponsored. It is a sponsored new channel that I would like to feature very briefly in this video. It belongs to good friends of my teenage daughter, who said that teenagers cannot be useful, and these people are creating awesome lo-fi, chill, relaxing meditation, as well as energizing music. I need music sometimes for the background for my videos, which is why, and for the background of dashcam footage, for example, that I'm going to feature for you. So please stick around and please visit them and their channel. Link is going to be in the description to this video. And let's talk about dashcams. I personally choose to have a dash camera. I had it in two cars. I had it in my Jeep Wrangler, because Jeep Wrangler, let's be honest, is a slightly bulkier vehicle. It was my first very big one, and I almost felt a little uncertain when I got it at first, and I wanted to make sure that while I'm being careful, that at least some sort of misunderstanding type of incidents where people run into me expecting me to get out of the way while I'm in my lane, whatever, where they don't happen. I wanted to back myself up. Luckily, me personally, I never had to use any of that footage. But my friend, a good friend of mine who shall not be named, but you know who you are, my man, told me a story very recently that happened to him, and that prompted me buying this dashcam, the one that I installed very recently in this Haval H6, which also tells you about my commitment to this car, I suppose. So first of all, there are heaps of idiots on the road these days, unfortunately. Let me just cut to the chase. I'm sorry if you find it a little abrasive or whatever. I just call things for what they are. I don't mean anyone in particular. It's just a dominating attitude lately, in Sydney at the very least. I know that lovely Queenslanders have never indicated. It's almost like a brand. When you drive in Queensland, and if you're not from Australia, it's an Australian state, people just don't indicate that. Please, please, for your own good and the good of your children, start indicating, my Queensland friends. In Sydney, we sort of did not have this problem, but lately, post-COVID, I'm gonna say, I think, maybe people have forgotten how to drive. Very simple, slightly blasé, slightly broad stroke statement. Probably not true, but maybe, right? Some people forgot how to drive. Some people are less self-aware, including on the road. Increasing amount of Uber, Didi, and all those other Ola and all those sort of car share services, which are not governed and not they have less professionalism, I suppose, of the driver attached to them. You can be lucky with a good driver, you can be unlucky with some person who does not how to drive. And I know that I have some Uber people who are Uber drivers who are watching my channel. I hope you understand that it's not against you or against Uber or against those services, this statement. It is just a fact of life, because those bad drivers give you a bad name. They give you a bad name. What I'm getting to, without too long of a rant, but I needed to give you this context, is that a dashcam is something that creates a bit of an evidence trail. Well, obviously, why else would you need a dashcam? A dashcam is an evidence trail that essentially, if you are in your lane and if somebody does something wrong, either cuts in front of you or reverses into you or something like that, then you have a clear and undisputable evidence that you have been in the right and you are okay, you know? And I think that these days, 2022, start of 2023, I do genuinely believe, as a normal driver on Sydney roads, that I'm seeing a lot more shenanigans on the roads. Tell me in the comments down below, is it just me? I promise to you a story. Story is that a good friend of mine has been driving, it has been a couple of months ago now, has been driving on the road, has stopped at a street light. There was a car in front of him, and the person who was in the car in front of him, instead of potentially turning the the car moving forward somehow, don't ask me how, I have no idea, haven't been there, essentially they reversed into him. Like, kind of burst. They didn't even just roll back to him. They like switched the gear, put the foot down, and instead of jerking forward, they jerked backwards and did damage to his car. It was not just like a tiny little bump and everyone shouted at each other and everyone moved on as friends going forward. No, it required insurance company involvement. So what happened there was that he did not have a dash cam, and he wished, in our conversation, I said, mate, did you have a dash cam? And he said, no, I didn't. Essentially, the person who was at fault said, oh, no, you jerked into me. That is both inflammatory for a person who just is standing, okay? And it's a lie, it's a lie, okay? So the person did not have an insurance. They had a green slip, but they did not have a comprehensive car insurance, okay? So they wanted to maintain their complete innocence and were essentially given a free pass because there was no factual evidence of it. There was no factual evidence of this thing. And my friend went through back and forth with insurance company, the talking to the cops and whatever. And essentially the other person, just with a straight face, was maintaining their innocence and said, no, he bumped me from behind. And if you know how the traffic incidents go, generally you're not looked upon favorably if you are the one behind the vehicle that you're hitting. If you are the one behind, you are like 60 to 70% probability-wise at fault. People are always assuming that either you bumped someone or you were on your phone and didn't look at as he pulled at the street light, the person in front of you, you bumped them because you were not looking, or you were too rushed and they didn't take off and you hit them. Anyway, when you are, it's very unlikely, is my point, that someone reverses into you at a street light. It's just unlikely to happen. I think you understand the meaning of what I'm trying to say to you. This is one example that happened to a friend of mine. And I'm sure there are heaps of other examples that we can talk about where real scams happen, where I saw those things on TikTok and everywhere where somewhere in Asia people like throw themselves on a bonnet, to scam the insurance company. And that's extreme. We don't have that in Australia. I'm not saying that you need a dash cam for that. But if someone suddenly changes a lane from lane 1 and you are in lane 2 and they change into lane 3 and not considering your speed and you ding them or something, or if someone does something stupid like this, reverses into you, or if you are particularly paranoid, again, I don't judge, but you can install these things in a way that allows you to apparently keep it running when the car is off. So my dash cam is installed in the most basic way. It turns on when I drive, it turns off when I don't drive. But you can wire it in such a way, if you want to go through the trouble, that it remains on and it continues using an energy source. I just didn't want to burden my battery, to be honest with you, and do extra wiring here. It continues running when you leave it. So say you left it at a car park, it can continue running and seeing who is parking and whatever, and who dinged your car at Coles or Woolworths car park. I think I made my case clear. That is why I believe that a dash cam these days is a very inexpensive fire extinguisher that is in the car for when you need it. And between those sessions, you don't need one and don't need to rely on it. Now, what did I get? Why did I get this dash cam? It is not a full-blown review, but you will know enough about this dash cam. I will tell you enough for you to make a decision for yourself. So I ordered my dash cam very cheaply from AliExpress. Yes, it's another Chinese product because, as opposed to the popular belief, I'm not supporting the Communist Party of China, but I live in a modern world. I'm not a hypocrite. I wear clothes that are made in China. Probably you wear clothes that are made in China. You have an iPhone that's made in China, at least in part, and I buy a dash cam or a car from Chinese manufacturers. It is what it is, okay? So I ordered this lovely dash cam from Xiaomi brand. Xiaomi is a massive, very successful brand of electronics in China. My phone is Xiaomi phone, by the way, as well, in case you want to know. And my phone has all specifications of the modern iPhone for about 1/5 of the price of an iPhone. If you're ever interested in me deviating tiny bit and doing an off-topic video and talking to you about that, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm not a mind reader, but I'd be more than happy to talk to slightly more open-minded people. Presumably those who drive Chinese cars, but maybe those of you who drive Lexuses, my friends, you know who you are. Maybe you would like a smarter phone for your wife, yourself, or your daughter. Let me know. So this lovely dash cam, it costs about 60 bucks Australian delivered. It takes less than a month, about 3 weeks it took to deliver. It was beautifully packaged, fantastically laid out. It's a good product. It's not a cheap product. It doesn't feel cheap in the hand. It's a second one I own. I had exactly the same one of a slightly lower model of these dash cams. I had it in my Jeep. It worked faithfully for 3 years. Okay, it has its limitations and I'll tell you what they are. But for 60 bucks, you install it on your windscreen. You find a spot where it's not obscuring obviously your vision. This in Haval H6, the windscreen is a bit more slopey, obviously, than it was in a Jeep. So I kind of had to consider that it's definitely not interfering with my line of sight. If it's too low, it would be, which is one of the main reasons as to why this basic, cheap dash cam is still my preference. I could have bought a more expensive one with a screen, let's say, in it, you know? And yes, sometimes it would be more useful to see what your camera is recording on a screen that is built into the camera, right? However, it suddenly changes the shape and the size of the camera, right? It suddenly turns it into a bit of a square. It suddenly becomes more bulky here, like a little extra screen, and I don't need it. I don't need it. I trust what it films. It has a Wi-Fi connection that you can connect to from your phone and see on your phone what it's filming. It's a bit of a process. This is not a full-blown review. I can talk you through it if you want me to, but it's a pretty easy thing. But you need to do it when you're parked. So you can set the angle of the camera. You can still see what it sees. You can see it from your phone. It connects, right? As it drives, it responds to the basic audible commands. There are 2 commands that it responds to: take picture and record video. If you want to prompt it to start recording a video of a situation that you would like to specifically capture in a separate folder on a little memory card, where you can take that specific footage and then use it like I'm using it, for example, in my video here, to overlay and show to you how the camera generally films. And again, not pretending this to be a review, but it's a good camera. It's a good budget camera. It's a very good budget camera, okay? What are the limitations of this camera, this particular camera, this Xiaomi one? Main limitation, other than no screen. There is no screen on it, so you can't see vividly what it's filming, but that's fine. I just explained it to you. Main limitation of this camera is that sometimes it tries to be intelligent and it tries to detect what's going either on the road, or maybe the car shakes when you go over a pothole. And it will turn into an emergency mode and start recording a video into that separate folder. It does that because it does not wait for a command. If you bump into something, the car shook, it sensed the shake, the camera, it starts recording that emergency video. So sometimes, out of the complete blue, a leaf falls or you go over a pothole and there is no reason for it to do it. Sometimes you just drive there nicely, just in your own thoughts, and it says, started recording emergency video. And you're like, why? But it's hardly an annoyance. It does it very rarely. Nobody cares, really. Beyond that, it's a fine camera. If you see a funny person on the road, or a cool car or something like that, nothing bad is going on, and you obviously cannot touch your phone, you can just say, take picture, and it will take a picture for you. Which is cool, which is all right. Quality is all right. It's not 4K, this camera. I think it's 1080p if I'm not mistaken, but it comes with a price range. It was very easy installation. Luckily, Haval H6 has this little USB port on the side, kind of here of this top area of this intelligent driver assist systems, and I didn't need to put wires all over the place like I needed to put in my Jeep, for example, when I was wiring a similar camera. And in this case, a short little wire, a little bit of sticky tape, and it looks fine. I think it looks fine. It's nothing special to write home about, but it is just a little appendage that is as uninvasive and as useful for when you need it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like lo-fi, chill, relaxing, upbeat kind of music, if you like this for your study, for your relaxation, for other kind of stuff, please spare maybe 2 minutes after I stop talking and listen to my daughter's friend's production, to the to their little produced video and support them, support the growth of their channel. Maybe you like it. It's not just a favor to me. I hope that this is something that maybe you like or your friends like. Thanks again. Hopefully I convinced you to get yourself a dash cam, because I think even if you don't need it and forget about it for 3 years, then there'll be a moment, hopefully never, but then hopefully there will be never a moment when you wish you had a cam and you have one. Thanks again for tuning in today. I'll be speaking with you again about something else, Haval or else other things related, next week, most likely. Bye for now.